Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, an F1 history podcast by a couple of friends that love and live F1. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your super host, Luigi. And today we are rating drivers from 1956 for our special series, the Time Portal Championship. So let's go.
Hey, we're back. We're back for 1956 and we have Andrew back. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Rosa. Hi, Luigi. Thanks for inviting me back again.
Yeah, it was close though. You're showing us up with your deep dive factual research.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting this will be the last time I get the invitation, so I'll try and make it a real good one.
I'm really excited about this particular TP episode because up to this point, the championships have been a little one-sided, mostly, and we haven't really had too many tight battles. But this is the season of the tight battle, and I'm predicting, I haven't looked ahead, by the way, I'm predicting we may have our first TP champion that differs from the world champion. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Well, I
haven't looked ahead, so I don't know. You know, Rosa.
I do, but I've forgotten. It was quite late.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not going to spoil myself.
Okay, so we get into it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good.
Race one. There's 7 races this year. This is the Argentinian Grand Prix. So this is Fangio's debut for Ferrari. And he actually qualifies 2.2 seconds ahead of his new teammate. So if those teammates thought, we've got the measure of this guy, they were in for a real shock on race one, right? So what's interesting about this race is that Moss's foot is run over by a race car before the race. You know, when the cars are just setting up for the grid and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he got run over, but he refused help and proceeded to race regardless. So the qualifying itself was Moss was first in the Maserati, followed by Fangio in the Maserati. Oh, I'm in the wrong year. Give me a second.
1956. No, it is.
Yes, I was looking.
It is.
I was looking at 57. I did a little spoiler. I was thinking, didn't I just say Fangio was in the Ferrari?
Yes.
Well, I'm
As I was reading it out, and I was,
spreadsheet, and I'm thinking, gee, have I got it wrong?
Yeah.
yeah. So Fangio was first in the Lancia Ferrari in the qualifying. Castellotti second in the Lancia Ferrari. Luigi Musso third in the Lancia Ferrari, and Berra fourth in the Maserati. So we had the Moss foot run over thing. Then we had unusual leaders at the start of the race with Musso, then Gonzalez, and then Mendy. We call him Mendy instead of
Menditigi.
Menditigi. I can't say that, so I say Mendy. So we had these guys all taking turns in the lead. Fangio retired and took over Musso's car, which was sitting in 5th place at the time. Moss retires, winning an easy lead, so another Moss Gremlin situation. Fangio manages to win the race in Musso's car. Now, Ugolini, now the Maserati team manager, actually complains against Fangio's assistance and fails. So the final result was Fangio, Musso winning the race, with Fangio mainly being the driver to win. Berra comes second in the Maserati, and Hawthorne comes third in the Maserati. So Rosa, your rankings.
Well, I've gone a little bit different for my, although you two probably won't think so. I've given Luigi Musso my 4 points in 3rd spot for giving up his car. So it's kind of like a sportsmanship point. And
So charity points, really.
Well, I mean, if he didn't give up his car, Fangio wouldn't have won the race. So it's a team point. It's a team point, isn't it? So, and
is it fair to say Musso probably wouldn't have won the race either?
No, exactly.
So,
and
yeah.
I mean, when I say sportsmanship point, he probably had no say in the matter.
Although Musso did charge into the lead, Luigi. So it's got to count for something.
Yeah.
And his name's Luigi as well. I gave Moss my 6 points. I've got written down in my notes that it was just bad luck striking again. I think he could have potentially won the race, but yeah, didn't. So he gets my vote for 6 points, and then I think my Ferrari bias again, just Fangio winning in the Ferrari in his debut for the Ferrari.
Okay. I had Ugolini third. always protesting and giving us drama. And I'll read out this little bit from the race review. Unfortunately, the race ended in similar tones to 1954 when Ugolini, now team manager for Maserati, presented a protest again, this time claiming that Fangio had been push-started by unauthorised persons after his spin earlier in the race. Again, the protest was rejected, but not content, he later lodged his complaint to the FIA, who also rejected it.
So wasn't he?
So he gives us a bit of drama.
He was team manager for Ferrari before, wasn't he?
Yes.
So now he's changed sides and he's protesting against Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably with extra passion. Yeah. So I put Fangio as second place for persisting to the win and his debut for Ferrari, of course. And I gave Moss first place because I felt he really should have won. That was my view. And I also wanted to challenge Rosa with your third place with Musso because you said giving up his car a sportsmanship point. All I want to say is I don't want to reveal what's happening later in this podcast, but pin that quote that you said he was sportsmanship and gave up his car.
Okay.
So pin that.
Maybe the last race of the year. Mm.
Yeah, maybe the last race of the year.
Well, do you know what I've...
And people don't change.
All right, so I gave 4 points to Moss on the basis that he was running second, about 80% into the race and retiring, so he was right up there. 6 points to Beira. I know no one's mentioned him, but he did actually finish second and only 24 seconds off the lead, so quite admirable. And I believe I gave... Well, I shared the 8 points between Musso and Fangio, but I'm not sure how you've interpreted that in the spreadsheet points.
What I've done is
Rosa.
I've given Fangio 4 and Musso 4. You can't have two drivers in the same cell. It doesn't work. But I have split
did
the
that on
points
the
for
basis
you.
that I thought that, my notes said somehow they actually won the race, which I found hard to believe when I was reading the commentary, but I thought they both deserve 4 points on that basis. And I believe that Fangio, before he retired, wasn't really that competitive as it was. So, I wasn't really prepared to give him the full 8 points on that basis.
Well, by all accounts, he was... I mean, I know is this the first race? Yeah, this is the first race, but he really didn't enjoy his time at Ferrari. So, yeah, he's probably a little bit off at the beginning, I would have thought. Okay, so... Sorry, was someone going to say something then?
I was just going to say those are the only points Musso gets for the year. So, yeah.
In the World Championship or in our rankings?
In ours?
In the World Championship, in the real World Championship, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have Moss and Fangio tied for first on 18 points. Musso second or third, I think I meant to say, on 8 points. Beira on 6 and Ugolini on 4.
And interesting to see this ranking because, Ugolini's up there. What I was going to say that's interesting is when you look at the actual championship at this stage, Beira is the championship leader with 6 points, followed by Fangio, and then Musso and Hawthorn next on 4. So, Beira's not given the due credit.
No.
So
and
good on you, Andrew, for calling it out.
Yeah, good on you, Andrew. And no one gave Hawthorn any points.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So up to race 2, the Monaco Grand Prix. So we've got Fangio taking pole position in the Lancia Ferrari, followed by Moss in second and Castellotti in the Lancia Ferrari in third. Now, we're saying Lancia Ferrari and Ferrari interchangeably.
Yes.
I might just say Ferrari from now on.
Yeah,
It might
good
be
idea.
a bit easier.
Yep.
So Moss charges into the lead from second on the grid, and he actually had a 5-second lead after the first lap, which is pretty special at Monaco. So Fangio even has a big spin trying to catch Moss, so it shows how much Moss was really laying down a good speed. Fangio damages his wheel and hands his car to Castellotti, so his damaged car. Collins in second gives his car to Fangio, despite the fact that he was catching Moss. Moss and his teammate Perdisa touch while being lapped. So Moss was lapping Perdisa, and that damages Moss's car and makes his bonnet come loose. So Moss had quite a lead at that stage, and Fangio was basically chasing Moss down and catching him by 2 seconds per lap. But Moss still manages to hold on and win by just, I think it was like 2 seconds or thereabouts, 2 or 3 seconds. So it was a real tight race to the end with Moss really holding on despite the damage to his car. So, Rosa.
It's interesting hearing you say these things, because then I look at my points and I go, how did I do that? Okay, what I've done is I've given Collins 4 points, basically for giving up his car to Fangio. And he was in second. He was in second when he did that.
Yeah,
so that's massive. And he was catching Moss, exactly. So I've given him the moral high ground, the moral win points. I have given Fangio my 6 points, basically because he can just, again, jump in any car and nearly win.
So because he pulled rank, you've given him 6 points.
I have.
And he gave Castellotti the crappy car.
And well, see, I forgot about that. If I had remembered that, I probably would have downgraded him, because that's a bit of a bad move, giving someone a damaged car. Yeah. But anyway, it is now. It's recorded. I can't change it. And of course, I gave Moss the win, and he had some bad luck in there too. So I gave him 8 points.
Okay, I gave third place to Castellotti for taking Fangio's damaged car. So I mean, he didn't have to take it.
Well, I think he had to take it. Like, he couldn't say no.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in a race, right?
But pin that moment too, Luigi.
I mean, he did finish 6 laps behind, but in any case.
Facts.
I forgot to mention, Berra comes third in this race. So it's Moss first, Collins, Fangio second, and Berra third on his own. So, yeah.
Any love for Berra, Luigi?
Well, I didn't rank him, no, because I put I know. What's happened to my love of Berra? Like, I must have just fallen out of love at this stage. But Fangio, I gave second place, strong drive to second with multiple cars. And I gave Moss the first place. Awesome drive, especially with some bad luck and a damaged car, and holding off a fast-charging Fangio which would have been very stressful.
Okay, well, I've obviously taken over your the Berra fan club, so I've given him 4 points for finishing third, and really just staying out of trouble. So it seems. Collins, I gave 6 points. I think he was unfairly dealt with Fangio pulling rank, and obviously he was travelling pretty well. And I gave 8 points to Moss.
You left Fangio out of your points.
Yeah, I mean, for what I've read, it was, he's spun a number of times. His driving was off. He was hitting curbs. He was clouding walls in the harbour. I don't like rewarding mediocrity, Rosa. So I've left him out.
And I feel bad. I think I should have put Collins in instead of Castellotti, because you're right, Andrew. He gave up a second place car, and he should be rewarded for that. Not the guy who took the crap car. Do you know what I mean? Castellotti had no choice.
No,
he was just given that car. So yeah. So I regret that now. That I might be regretting that at the end of the season. Let's see.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so Moss in the lead on 42 points. Fangio second on 30, way ahead of third place Berra on 10, who's actually tied with Collins on 10.
And how's Ugolini going?
Moss is leading.
Still maintaining a spot in the top 5?
He's actually got the same amount of points as Castellotti.
Okay, so up to the Belgium Grand Prix, race 3 of the season. So Fangio sets a stunning pole time, which is over 5 seconds ahead of his teammate, which is quite special. and you've got Moss in second place. So Moss was second in the Maserati, and third was Collins, the Ferrari teammate that he was 5 seconds behind Fangio. So at the start, Fangio actually made a slow start, which is not normal for him. Having said that, though, by lap 5, he was in the lead, so he recovered very quickly. By lap 10, he had an 8-second lead ahead of Moss. And remember, Moss started second. Then Moss had a dramatic wheel failure, which left Fangio and Collins well ahead of the rest, and the rest were very well apart. I didn't give too much more detail in this race, which I sort of regret, but I believe
that's okay. Andrew,
Fangio must have retired. Andrew, you fill in, but Collins
will have
wins.
the facts for us.
Yeah, Andrew, tell us what happened. Why did I suddenly say Collins wins, and that's it?
I think he had a comfortable lead after Fangio retired. And I think Fangio retired this time through no fault of his own. And probably didn't take over someone else's car, maybe.
No,
which is
That's
surprising.
What's interesting.
yes.
He retires on lap 24 out of a 36-lap race. And, he didn't take anyone else's car. And there's a guy called Ferreira who comes second in the Ferrari. Perdisa and Moss come third in the Maserati, so they're switching and sharing. So why didn't Fangio take Ferreira's car? Because Ferreira seems to be a bit of a no-name driver, you know? Strategic error, maybe?
Maybe.
It is Ferrari, so
Maybe he retired
anything is possible.
At Spa in Belgium, so he could have retired way down the other, side of the track. Remember, back in those days, it was a very large circuit, so maybe he just couldn't get back to
scooters to take you back.
Yeah, it was close to the end too, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Rosa, your rankings?
Well, someone did take over someone's car. Moss took over Perdisa's car. So I gave Perdisa 4 points for giving up his car to Moss, who he didn't win the race, did he? What did Moss finish?
He came third.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that was I think we hear a lot about Perdisa and these types of things. So I'm putting a shout out there for him. I gave Collins 6 points. I mean, I think, I was a lucky win, wasn't it? He, everyone retired ahead of him and he won. And I actually gave Moss 8 points. And I think...
Wow.
Taking over
this is the most...
Is that because he...
Yeah. This is a dodgy
He ran back to the pits
place.
from Eau Rouge.
Yeah, and he had a wheel fly off. He fought the bad luck, and he finished third. So,
I'm really questioning that. That's just, Anyway, and I realise now, even I've written, my third place was Fangio, was leading easily but lost this win.
Yeah.
I actually gave second to Moss for a good comeback drive to third in Perdisa's car. So he must have, when he took over that car, so I don't remember the intricate details of every race, even though we've done the review of it. He must have been well down and come back to third. Yeah. So that's if you'd said that, Rosa.
Well, I did say that. I said a wheel flew off and he fought the bad luck.
Of the wheel falling off.
Yes. Well,
not the comeback drive.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Excuse me, you've given points to Fangio for and I think Andrew did say, oh no, you said that he lost it from no fault of his own, did you, Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll let you off.
Well, it was the previous two races. I think he wasn't driving up to his high standard, but this one was a true DNF.
Okay.
Yeah. So I gave first place to Collins, and my comments were first win, even if a bit inherited.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the reason why I left out a lot of detail in this little summary, because I just thought it didn't deserve it.
So again, I've sort of gone a bit rogue with the points, and I'm not sure whether you've taken that on board, Rosa. But
yes, I have. Yes,
I did give.
I accommodated all your rogueness.
Moss 2 points, mainly for the sprint back down from Eau Rouge back to the pits. Again, you guys have left out a bit of a no-name that's finished on the podium for Ferreira. So I've given him 2 points because I've shared the third points there. 6 points I've given to Fangio. Seemed to dominate the race before he was seemingly unlucky, but Collins obviously picked up the spoils and went on to win by, over 3 minutes or a minute and a half, basically. So I'll give him the 8 points.
So how's our TP Championship looking?
Well, thanks to me, Moss is still in the lead. He's on 58 points. Fangio is second on 40 points, and Collins is third on 32 points.
Pretty exciting because these guys are in different cars.
Yeah.
Oh no, Collins is in Ferrari,
and Fangio.
like Fangio. Yeah. Okay. So we're up to race 4, the French Grand Prix. And amazingly and of very high interest, Colin Chapman actually qualifies for this race. Funnily enough, though, with a time set by Shell in the car, in the van wall. So that was very interesting. However, he damaged his car beyond repair but wouldn't start. And in the main podcast, Rosa and I even talk about this potentially being a sliding doors moment. Like, what if Colin Chapman did do a great job in that race? What if he did finish 4th on his debut and suddenly was given a drive by Ferrari? That would change the whole dynamic of Lotus and the domino effect of that would have been very interesting. So, yeah, I thought that was very, very fascinating. So the actual Grand Prix qualifying itself was Fangio first in the Ferrari, then Castellotti second in the Ferrari, and Collins third in the Ferrari. And then you had Shell 4th and Chapman 5th. And Shell and Chapman were in the van wall. So I'm only mentioning that because Chapman's such a legend of the sport, and I think this is the only time he
races.
Sort of is on the grid, which is unusual, right? So during the race, a race prior to this, Hawthorn gives up his car to teammate due to exhaustion of a sports car race. And I've made a comment that Enzo Ferrari was right. Now, to explain that briefly, one of the big issues Enzo Ferrari had with Hawthorn, even though they clearly liked each other because they were together a lot. I think Hawthorn drove for them 3 times, I think at least.
Yeah.
Enzo was like, no, you can't do sports car races and Formula One because it'll push you too much. And here's Hawthorn giving up his car because of a sports car race that exhausted him. So I thought that was interesting. So to the race itself, Shell had an amazing charge, actually getting into the lead in front of the leading Ferrari trio. You remember I read out the Ferrari in the front row, then Hawthorn was 4th on the second row. So that was interesting. So I think what happens next is the Ferrari trio take over because Shell retires, Fangio retires, Collins and Castellotti in the Ferrari battle for the win, and Collins wins with Ferrari pitboard instructions telling them to hold position. I think that's a good enough summary for the race. Do you guys agree? Sorry, it was a bit distorted in the middle there. It was my own grammar. That was the problem. So, Rosa, what's your rankings?
Well, I think one thing you did leave out is that Padissa once again gave up his car to Moss in this race. So he gets 4 points. I gave Collins 6 points. It was a win, but it was it was team orders, hold position, Castellotti don't. I think they were actually told to finish, Collins and Castellotti second. And I've actually given 8 points to Ferrari and the Ferrari team. And I've put a note here and I can't remember now, but I've said for making the race interesting by not paying attention. What does that mean, Luigi?
Yes, I'm remembering now, and that's why my grammar was funny because it's coming back to me now. The Ferraris were dominating, and what they didn't know was Ferrari thought Shell was driving the wrong car, and Ferrari weren't paying attention. Then they realised Shell was driving Hawthorn's old car or something like that.
Yes, and
Shell caught up to them.
Yes,
and the Ferrari team didn't tell their drivers. They didn't put the faster sign or watch out for Shell before they realised Shell was actually a real contender. He'd caught up to them.
That's right,
and that's why I think you made the comment about not paying attention because that's what happened. Ferrari got caught out by not paying attention to Shell.
And Shell was in a van wall, is that right?
Yes.
And Van Wall hadn't had any success at this stage.
Yeah, kudos to him.
So my top three are, again, I've gone for more the entertainment factor. I put Enzo Ferrari as third. Now, I had to say Enzo Ferrari, not Ferrari team, right?
Okay.
It's different. For being right about the drivers and Hawthorn being exhausted and having to withdraw from the race because Enzo didn't want his drivers to do other things. And I thought that was quite funny for Enzo to be right. And I jokingly said in the main podcast he was shaking his head when Hawthorn was, withdrawing from the race. I gave Collins second place for just a really solid drive. I mean, he won the race, but I'm not even giving him the win, which is surprising now that I'm digesting what I've done. And I'm giving Shell the win because he did an awesome drive to catch the Ferraris in a van wall. And they were way ahead. So he actually jostled with them. And as I've said earlier in episodes, if a driver outperforms what they should be, that's where I give them real credit. So Shell for the win was a bit of a surprise, even for myself.
Yeah, well, that's a really good selection. I certainly wasn't as bullish as that, but I gave Shell 4 points because he certainly took it up to the other teams and the leaders. I gave Fangio 6 on the basis that he did seem to have everyone else's measure until he had car issues. And then I've done another one of my little dodgies where I've split the 8 points between Collins and Castellotti on the basis that Ferrari couldn't decide. Well, in the end they decided that Collins should win, but there was sort of some conjecture over that. So rather than give 8 points to Collins, and Castellotti was only less than a second behind at the end, so I've given them both 4 points.
I mean, it was an interesting decision by Ferrari to give the win to Collins, given they had a young Italian driver. I mean, back here, it was very parochial. Like they were very much pushing the Italian drivers for Italian teams. So, I mean, that's a big win for Collins.
I suppose Collins was more of a chance in the championship, I guess.
Yeah, he was. I think he was probably a bit more senior as well, and leading the championship. Yeah. That hasn't stopped Ferrari before, though. Okay, so we have Moss still in the lead on 58 points, Collins second on 48 points, and Fangio third on 46. And then
it's really tight.
Yeah, everyone else is like way behind from there. So it's between those three.
Can I just check with you, Rosa? So you know how Andrew gave 4 points to Castellotti and 4 to Collins?
Yes.
So Collins didn't get 8 then?
No, he got 4. Yep.
He only deserved 4, Luigi. Come on.
He won the race.
Yeah, but only because other people told Castellotti to let him win.
I know. I just have a bad feeling, that's all.
Okay.
So we're up to the 5th race of the season, the British Grand Prix. And so BRM finally turn up and actually do really well, which is amazing. So in terms of the actual qualifying itself, we have Moss in pole position with the Maserati, Fangio in second in the Ferrari, Hawthorn in third in the BRM, and Collins 4th in the Ferrari. So a pretty amazing start. At the race start itself, and I'm checking my rankings already, because Hawthorn launches into the lead.
Well, he deserves the 8 points for sure.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens from here now. That's it, all done. So, and not only that, but Hawthorn's teammate, Brooks, who's also in the BRM, who qualified for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th, goes up into second place. So that's a pretty awesome start for BRM to be first and second at the British Grand Prix with a British driver leading the race. However, it took 15 laps for Moss to take the lead off Hawthorn in the BRM. Brooks drove with a broken throttle cable at some point in the race and used his hand to manage that, which Rosa and I found quite interesting in the main race summary itself. Moss retires with a loss of power, which hands the win to Fangio, and Collins comes second in Deportago's car. And third place is Jean Berra in the Maserati. So Berra's always up there. He's not getting my votes anymore, but he's getting on the podium a lot. So, yeah, Rosa, what did you think of that in terms of who do you think should have won?
Yes. Well, I actually gave Brooks 4 points. I mean, that is unbelievable that he was holding his throttle cable during the race. I don't know where did he finish in this race? Oh no, he didn't finish on the podium.
He does retire.
Oh, he ends up retiring. Well,
he has an accident on lap 41.
Maybe he let go of the cable.
I think he either let go of the cable or he needed two hands to actually take a corner. So, yeah, but I gave him props for trying to do his own running repairs, like literally. Fangio, 6 points. I know it was sort of he was in second and he takes the win because Moss loses power. So can you guess who I give my 8 points to?
Farina.
Who else?
Yeah, Moss. I mean, how unlucky can this guy be? He was in the lead, pulling away, and then his luck ran out again. So he should have won this race totally.
I really feel sorry for Moss. Yep. I really do. And especially the home Grand Prix as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So in third place, it's interesting that you didn't give Fangio first and he won the race. And same here, I gave Fangio third place.
Yeah.
And the reason being actually got the win.
Yeah.
I gave second place to Hawthorn. Not just because he had the lead at the start, but he qualified third and did a great job in this first time out with this BRM car. So very impressive drive by Hawthorn. Just a pity that it ended. And I gave Moss the win. Just he totally deserved this win and he was totally ripped off.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. I went a bit of a different tack. I actually gave 4 points to De Portego, curiously, but he did finish equal second. Well, we finished second with Collins taking over the car, but he had driven the car from 12th to 4th before that point. 6 points I gave to Fangio. Sorry, Rosa.
Yeah, that's a Rosa pick. That
was,
one.
Yeah. Maybe I was feeling generous at the time, but
and I didn't pick him. I didn't give him any points.
Fangio, I gave 6. He was obviously up there for the whole race. Ended up winning by a lap, but Moss seemingly dominated, but didn't get the chocolates in the end. But he's got my 8 points.
Yeah, well, that's 24 points for Moss this race. So, so Moss is in the lead with 82 points. We were very kind to Fangio, though, as well. So he's now 20 points behind on 62, and Collins is on 48 in third place.
And it's worth mentioning fourth how far behind they are.
Yeah, fourth is Shell on 12.
And he was like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
What about Barra?
So we're up to race.
He's got to be around.
Barra's on 10. He's fifth
my
on
10 points, I
ten.
think, that I've given him.
I think it is. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to me. I've got to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And just like what happened with Barra in 56 with me.
Yeah.
So we're up to race 6, the German Grand Prix. And this race qualifying was Fangio first in the Ferrari, Collins second, Castellotti third, so the Ferrari 1, 2, 3, and Moss fourth with the Maserati. And I'm just trying to see the other contender. Is Collins on this list? Oh, Collins. Collins is there, of course. What am I doing? Yeah, he's second. Okay, so Fangio and Collins were very dominant in this race, and no British teams turned up, which I thought was very interesting. And this happened quite a lot in the 50s, I think, where some teams just didn't turn up to certain races. So the interesting thing about this race is during the race itself, Collins leaps... Wait, let me just explain it like this. Castellotti leaps into Collins' Ferrari by mistake when they come into the pits. He was meant to jump into Musso's car. Right. And that was only temporary once, because apparently Musso's car came like a second later. So then Castellotti got out of Collins' car and went into Musso's car. So I questioned whether that was a shared drive. Should those results now be split by 3 drivers? Because he technically maybe put his bum in the seat and therefore should be sharing those points. So that was just the question I had. Halford gets a push start and Ugolini doesn't seem to protest. However, Halford does get a black flag.
Oh.
So this race seemed like a bit of a non-event race, I think, because Fangio wins in the Ferrari, Moss comes second in the Maserati, and Berra again comes third in the Maserati. So the whole Collins, Castellotti, Musso car jumping fiasco, none of them finished in the points anyway. So, yeah, Rosa, what's your top
Well,
3?
I've given Collins points. I gave him 4 points. I've written good race, and I think he qualified. Did you say he qualified second?
Yes.
And he had a good race until his
Well,
car
he qualified
packed
only
up.
0.3 behind Fangio.
Yeah,
On a 10-minute lap, so that's a good effort.
Yeah, exactly. I've given Moss 6 points just for finishing the race, staying on the track. Nothing bad happened, so good on him. And I've given Fangio 8 points. I think he was in control of that race pretty much the whole time. Yep.
Yeah, and he won by nearly a minute from Moss as well. Yeah. So third, I gave Castellotti for jumping into the wrong car. And I feel like I've got to take this more seriously because I could be costing someone a TP championship with these picks. Yeah, I should have, Collins should have been there, I think. And instead, Castellotti didn't deserve it. So, yeah, I'm going to
You're going to have to take a long, hard look at yourself tonight, Luigi.
Yeah, even Berra came third and I put Castellotti in, What's going on?
The people might want to replace you with Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. Just double and there are probably people that are probably doing point scoring, taking out my silly picks.
I'm taking this far too seriously.
No, you keep putting Berra in, so you should be in. So yeah, so I put Moss in second place, solid second place, and Fangio just a dominant drive for first. So yeah, number 1 for Fangio.
Yeah, well, I ended up surprisingly, I put Berra in for third.
Good on you.
Yeah.
And really it was on the basis that with all this sort of car swapping between Castellotti, Musso, Collins, Ugolini, or he wasn't even Ferrari then, but Briatore, whoever's floating around in the pits, I don't think they deserved any points. So I gave Berra the 4, Moss the 6, Fangio the 8. So I've pretty much gone in finishing order, so nothing too controversial, but that's how it played out.
Right.
Okay.
So Moss in the lead on 100 points, Fangio second on 86. So a little bit of space opening up there.
To 14 points with 1 round to go.
Yeah.
And Collins is on 52 in third. And your friend Berra way behind on 14 points in fourth.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we ain't going to right any wrongs for that guy.
I think that's all Andrew's points as well.
Yeah, I think it is.
You're also ignoring him too, Rose. It's not just me.
I know.
But for me, it's a surprise because I was loving him in 52.
Maybe his starts weren't as good this year. He wasn't sort of
Yeah,
crushing it on the first lap.
Okay, so we're at the final race of the season. This is a big championship decider. And interestingly, you've got Collins and Berra could win this and Fangio. And Berra, interestingly enough, has never won a race.
So is that
in
the
Formula
real
1,
championship?
So maybe
those could win. Yeah,
this is the real championship.
And Moss couldn't win the real championship.
No.
Okay.
No. So Moss wasn't even in the running. And Fangio, it's between Collins, Fangio, and Berra unfortunately never wins a race. So it makes the race very interesting in that regard because that's a little bit giving away something. So we've actually got Fangio in pole position in the Ferrari, Castellotti second, and Musso third in the Ferrari. And I'm trying to pick out where the other championship contenders are. Berra starts fifth in the Maserati. And where did Collins qualify? He didn't have a great qualifying. He qualified seventh in the Ferrari. So he was like the fourth fastest Ferrari driver.
3 seconds off Fangio.
So way down. Yeah. So what was required was Collins and Berra could win the championship from Fangio if they could win and got the fastest lap. So if Berra's going to win a race, this is the time to do it, and what a spectacular way to do it. So in terms of the race start, Musso and Castellotti actually charged into the lead, and I loved this line from the Mike Lang book. They battled as if from opposing teams for the opening lap. So they really just gunned it between themselves. So that would have been and I guess they're probably fighting to be the number one Italian driver in that team, behind Collins and Fangio. However, after 5 laps, they pretty much shredded their tyres. So they both went into the pits at the same time, which showed they must have really pushed hard. And I wonder who Ferrari changed their tyres first.
I don't know.
That would have been a bit of a message to those two guys. So that left the next 3 drivers to battle for the lead, which was Shell, Moss, and Fangio. And around them, other cars were shredding their tyres. So Fangio actually dives into the pits on lap 19 with a broken steering arm, and his championship hopes were fading at that stage. So Musso comes in, everyone expecting Fangio to take his car, but Musso refuses to hand his car over. So this is where, Rosa, I challenge your Musso gets 2nd or 3rd place or whatever it was for being sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Musso's not even in the running of the championship, and he's not giving it to the team leader.
Well,
so explain that vote.
I will explain it. Finish your summary.
Okay, so Collins now has a chance to take the championship, and he comes into the pits and he does the unthinkable. He hands his car to Fangio, and by doing this, he thus hands the championship to him. Why? Because he has many years ahead of him to win one, because Collins is only 25, and at this stage, I think Fangio may have been in his young 40s or mid-40s, I suspect. This is 56. Moss runs out of fuel, and he's pushed over the line by his teammate Piotti, and Moss wins the race. So Luigi Piotti, that's his name, actually helps Moss win the race by pushing him over the line.
Yeah. Wow.
And so Collins/Fangio comes second with that shared drive that Collins hands the car over, and Flockhart in the Connaught comes third, 1 lap behind. So there were a lot of retirements in this race because we haven't mentioned Flockhart once.
No.
And this is the first time. And the mere fact I'm saying 4th was a driver called Godier and 5th was a driver called Fairman.
Yeah.
We've never mentioned them.
Never talked about them.
Yeah, so there you go.
Just seems
What's
like
your
it seemed like
3
carnage,
races?
really.
It was.
Yeah,
yes.
it was a nuts race. And Rosa, what have you got to explain about Musso having sportsmanship at the start of the year?
Well, I think, he was a young driver coming in, trying to do the right thing, but he then realises he's got his own career to defend and make. I've actually given him 4 points for this race as well, for just standing his ground. Like who does that? Who would stand up to the team and say, "I'm not giving my car to the world championship contender"? Like that is big props to him. And like he was just a young guy starting out. He needed to sort of make his own name, and he made it all right. So he gets 4 points. 4 points from me.
And interestingly enough, he drives for Ferrari in 57.
Yes, he does.
So it wasn't a career-ending move. So maybe you're right. Maybe Enzo liked that attitude.
Well, exactly. He's like saying, I'm good enough. I'm good enough to win on my own. And no, I'm not going to give up my car to Fangio. Like, he probably wasn't good enough to win in this race.
Well, he was
but that belief, I think,
to go.
There you go. You need that belief in yourself.
Yeah.
So he gets 4 points. I gave Moss 6 points. Now, I normally, in these situations, how Moss won, I would normally give it to Piotti. But I've given it to Moss. Well, I should have done what Andrew does and just split the points between them. It didn't occur to me to do that. Yeah. But yes, if I had my time again, I'd be giving Piotti some points for that effort. And look, I couldn't go past Collins for my 8 points. Like, I cannot, when I read this in the race summaries that we did, I just could not believe that what he did. And I know we're not going to give away any spoilers. He never did win a world championship in the real world championship because, some very bad luck befalls him. So, this was his chance to take one out and he didn't.
Maybe he could still win the TP World Championship.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get there in a second. We're nearly there. So I've got Piatti third for pushing Moss over the line. As you were saying you were going to put Moss second, I was thinking this sounds like, of course, I hadn't looked at mine till then. I was like, of course I picked Piatti. The guy that, the other person. Yeah.
And his name's
Luigi pick. Luigi Piatti. Yeah. I should have put Luigi Piatti in there. So I put Moss second for being the race winner and being up there for the win. And Collins, just the moral thing that he did was quite unbelievable. And even Fangio made some amazing quotes about Collins' sportsmanship in doing that. Quite a surprise, considering Musso didn't even do it and he wasn't even in the running.
That's right.
So, that's what I don't get. That's what I'm confused about.
So just clarify, Collins lost the World Championship by doing that.
Yes. Yes, he did.
So, so I gave Collins 4 points for showing great sportsmanship, but obviously stupidity because he didn't win the World Championship. Musso, I gave 6 points for not showing great sportsmanship and looking after number one. And I gave Moss 8 points because he survived the carnage, is all I can call it, or the chaos of the race. Italy, 1956.
1956. Yep.
And you didn't choose to share that Collins with Fangio because they came equal second.
Well, I don't think Fangio deserved it.
Ooh, that's a big call. Okay.
So who's the TP World Champion for 1956?
The TP World Champion by a whopping 14 points is Sterling Moss on 120 points. Fangio second on 106 and Collins third on 52.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big
and that is actually different. Like Collins in the actual World Championship is actually third, but Fangio and Moss are switched around, obviously. So Fangio, Moss, Collins, and Berra, Andrew.
Much maligned, Berra, I would say, by you two, but anyway.
Yes.
He came fourth in the Real Championship and fourth. Did he come fourth in ours as well?
Fifth in ours. We downgraded him.
And the funny thing is, Musso, he comes 1, 2, 3.
He's still
he comes 11th. He comes 11th in the championship,
and he comes fourth in ours.
4 points in the World Championship.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. He only had that 1/3 place at the start of the season. I even made a comment about it.
That's right.
I said, this is the only points he gets for the year. But we keep rating him.
Yeah.
But let's acknowledge it. This is an amazing result. This is where Moss genuinely should have been the champion of 1956. And I think we all think that, I think. And I actually thought Collins was going to win it, actually. And I'm shocked to see how far Collins is behind the other two.
I think there's another year also where Moss should have been outright easy winner of the World Championship. And there's a couple of, it might have actually been before this one. Remember when he helped Hawthorn, Luigi?
Yeah,
that year.
We can't talk about it too much. It's giving too much away.
But like the guy just, has pretty bad luck. Anyway.
He was the genuine champion. So he's the champion of 1956. And when this podcast episode is released, I will update the website to show our proper championship rankings.
He is. Well, these three people anyway.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us again, Andrew. And we'd love to have you again for future episodes.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. And thank you, Rosa.
Thank you. All right. See you, everyone.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye. We have a Patreon.
Yay, we're a professional podcast now. So it means a lot to us if you are able to support the F1 Time Portal podcast.
For a small monthly fee, you not only get ad-free podcast content, you will also receive special episodes that are exclusively uploaded for our Patreon financial supporters.
We promise at least 2 additional exclusive episodes each month aligned to the decade we are up to in the show.
And you will also be able to make suggestions about any special episodes you may want us to research and present. We can't promise that we can do all of them, but we will consider them.
So, if that sounds like an entertainment bargain to you, go and sign up at patreon.com/F1 Time Portal today.
If you're enjoying our podcast, please tell your friends and non-F1 friends alike.
Yeah, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars or whatever highest is available on the podcast platform that you use.
We have a range of social media handles for you to connect with fellow listeners, so look up F1 Time Portal on all the usual platforms.
Or visit us at www.f1timeportal.com or email us at f1timeportal@gmail.com.
We would like to give credit to our primary reference materials, a series of books called Grand Prix by Mike Lang.
We also use many other written and digital references, which are in our show notes.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.